Welcome to another exciting edition of Toastmaster Time, the show that's got everybody talking. I'm Justin Paris, your host for tonight's episode. Here at Toastmaster Time, we celebrate public speaking, personal growth, and effective communication. Whether you're a seasoned speaker or just starting on your journey, we're excited to have you join us here tonight. I want to share a quote from William Jennings Bryan, who was an American politician, author, and orator. He said, "The ability to speak effectively is an acquirement rather than a gift." This is a great reminder that the ability to communicate effectively is not something we're born with. It's something we can develop and acquire through effort, through perseverance, and having the right mindset. Just like in a regular Toastmasters meeting, we're going to have prepared speakers and evaluations here tonight. Our evaluator, who's going to evaluate both speakers, is Deborah Wiener from Speakers Forum. Deborah, really great to have you on Toastmaster Time. Please share with us what's in store for tonight's episode.
Thank you, Justin. I'm so excited to be on Toastmaster Time TV tonight. I can't wait to hear our two speakers that I will be evaluating. Our speaker number one, Sabrina, who will be talking about the turbulence of public speaking, and Bill, who will be speaking about the life lessons that come with death. Back to you, Justin.
Thank you so much, Deborah, for that sneak peek at tonight's show. We look forward to hearing more from you later on. Our first speaker today is Sabrina Mahaajan from Union City Toastmasters. She believes that turbulence in life is not always a bad thing, and how Toastmasters can help smooth out the turbulence of public speaking. In Toastmasters, we work on various pathways depending on the member's leadership or communication goal. The pathway that Sabrina is going to be working on today is the engaging humor pathway. Her project today is a level 3 project where the objective is to connect with storytelling. Sabrina Mahaajan, turbulence in life. Turbulence in life, Sabrina Mahaajan.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you, Deborah, for that great intro. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do a quick survey. Raise your hand if you enjoy airline travel. Now keep your hands up if you enjoy turbulence. That's what I thought. No one. You see, turbulence is not just about flying. It's about life. For all those moments that go not as planned. You see, at this point in my life, my family is scattered miles and miles away from me. Although my husband is close to me, our daughter is 3,000 miles away in New York. Our son is 4,000 miles away in Boston, and my mom is all the way on the other continent in India. So to reach any one of them, I have to take airline travel. That day, I was sitting in a cross-country flight from San Francisco to Boston. It was a red-eye flight. The flight took off. The lights were dimmed. I lowered my chair. I took out my comfy neck pillow. I took out my eye patch and my warm blankie. For I was looking forward to 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep. You guessed it right. There were no running toddlers or crying babies in that flight. The lady sitting next to me was busy typing something in her laptop. Midway in the flight, middle of my sleep, suddenly, boom, the flight shook. I lowered my eye patch. The lights were on. Everyone was awake. We heard the announcement, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a turbulence. will be over soon. Things will smooth out. In the meantime, get back to your seat, fasten your seatbelt, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. I looked down. The shoes I had taken out earlier had rolled to other side of the aisle. The plane shook again. I looked up. It looked like the oxygen mask was going to drop any minute. I was scared. I panicked. My heart was racing out of my ears. I couldn't believe it. I thought about all those things I wanted to do with my kids, all the places I wanted to travel with my husband. I wasn't ready to die at that moment. No, sorry, Bob, I wasn't going to die. There was another announcement. This time, the pilot reassured us we were going to be fine. The turbulence will be over. He further added we were flying over the Rockies. Holding tightly to my seatbelt, I raised the windowsill. Ladies and gentlemen, the view outside, the mesmerizing snow-capped peaks of the Rockies. They shimmered in the silver moonlight. It was an incredible sight out of a sci-fi movie. The Rockies, the snow-capped range, extended all the way my eyes could see. The lady sitting next to me, she was also staring out. We smiled. The smile you exchange with a stranger when you see something so incredibly beautiful, so divine. Serenity sprayed over me. We forgot about the turbulence. Few hours later, we landed in Boston to a sunshiny day. You see, turbulences sometimes are harbinger to something incredible, something divine that you will see only if you keep your eyes open, if your mind open. That day I also learned the importance of safety belt, how important safety belts are to get the support in case of turbulence. We here at Union City Toastmasters, we offer that safety belt in case if you want to go over the turbulence of public speaking. For you see, public speaking is an acquired skill. Just like swimming, biking, it can be learned at any age and can be honed by practice. You see that little amygdala that sits in our brain that controls the fight or fight response can be trained to relax. How do we do that? By practice, and practice. Where do we practice? At your unions, at your local Toastmasters club. So if you haven't, I encourage you to join us. We meet every first and third Mondays of the month, from 7 to 8. We meet online. Please come check us out. Thank you. Back to you, Justin.
Thank you so much for that speech, Sabrina. I'm a baby when it comes to turbulence. Any bump on a plane, I'm like, oh my gosh, clutching really tight. So yeah, my palms got sweaty actually when you just mentioned the word turbulence, but I still enjoyed your speech very much. Please come onto the table and join me for a short interview.
Thank you, Justin.
Great job.
Thank you.
So tell us, how long have you been in Toastmasters?
You know, I always wanted to join Toastmaster. However, I didn't have the bandwidth. I joined when you went on Zoom during COVID.
Oh, okay.
I could attend the meeting from the comfort of my own home.
Very nice.
And I have been ever since. I feel it's the best gift I gave to myself. I'm here for long run.
I agree with you. I tell people all the time that Toastmasters is one of the best things I've ever done for myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in your journey, tell me about something that you've really enjoyed in your Toastmasters experience.
That's such a great question, Justin. Coming to think about it, I enjoy every single thing. The structure of the meeting, how organized it is, The table topics, everyone loves table topic. It helps us hone our impromptu skill.
Yep.
The elevator speech you may have to give at work. I also enjoy the pathways, the pathways, the tools that help us build our communication skills, public speaking skills.
Yes, I agree. There's so many great things about the program. It's hard to criticize anything about Toastmasters. It's so very well designed and very deliberate in terms of helping us on our journeys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the support the members
The
offer each
support,
other.
the people.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So if there's one thing that you've learned that's had a big impact on you that you think will help other people to know, what would you say that is?
You know, I always wanted to improve my public speaking. I wasn't good at public speaking. So when my kids left for college, and I learned that public speaking is an acquired skill.
Yes.
Anyone can learn. All you have to do is practice, practice, practice.
Perfect.
So, and Toastmaster is a perfect way. The pathways you offer, incredible.
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up because it
I'm a
speaks to my
living
quote.
example of that.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. We've got to move on with the show, but it was great having you, and I look forward to having you back at some
My
point.
pleasure, Justin. Anytime.
Thank you so much. All right, let's hear from our evaluator, Deborah, who's going to be providing feedback to Sabrina. Deborah, over to you.
Sabrina, you really pulled me in with your speech with that title about turbulence. I'm going to give you 3 tips on what you did really well and 3 tips about what you could do better. You started out with a question which drew the audience in. That was really well. You did that really well because I was asking myself, well, what is she going to tell us? What is she going to talk about? And your storytelling skills are amazing. It was a really interesting story, and I just couldn't wait to hear where this was going next. I thought, well, maybe the plane's going to crash or something. So it was an exciting speech and kind of full of some drama for a while there. And then you ended with telling us about your Toastmaster Club and promoting Toastmasters. That was great. Some tips about what you could work on would be to start out with telling us what you're going to tell us. So maybe bringing in the Toastmaster piece a little bit earlier. And then also transitioning to telling us that you met someone on the plane that invited you to Toastmasters. And also, I think that just bringing in the story earlier about Toastmasters would be really helpful. And I can't wait to hear more.
Thank you so much for that evaluation, Deborah. I like how you incorporated the sandwich technique where you started with your positive feedback, then went into your constructive feedback, and closed with more positive feedback. Our second speaker here today is Bill Meyn. Bill is a member of not just one, but 2 Toastmasters clubs. Those 2 clubs are Island City Toastmasters and Coastmasters Toastmasters. Bill believes that life is full of surprises. He says, life always ends in death, but even death, surprisingly, can teach us valuable life lessons. Bill is working on a pathway called motivational speaking, and his objective today is to connect with storytelling. Bill Meyn, saying goodbye. Bill Meyn.
My father's 93-year-old body had been reduced to an urn full of ashes. It was sitting on the bed next to me in the hotel room. There was a knock on the door. My cousin John came in with my Aunt Ruth and Uncle Henry. Much to my surprise, Aunt Ruth and Uncle Henry had also been reduced to urns full of ashes some years before, so I was surprised to see them. My cousin John brought them in to sit next to my father and commune. If it brought John great comfort to do that, I'm all for it. After all, there is a conservation of spirit that, in my belief, might translate into something like a life after death or a heaven, and perhaps they were communing. But more important, John was saying goodbye in his own way to his parents as well. We say goodbye to so many people in our lives. People we love, people who are close to us, people that we don't want to say goodbye to, but it happens. When I was only 11 years old, my mother died of cancer. My older sister and I had to watch her suffer for a number of years before she finally succumbed to this terrible disease. And we recognized, even as young children, that sometimes saying goodbye is a mercy. In the case of my mother's death, we weren't so sad that she died, we were sad that she suffered. Having said goodbye to my father and my mother, I have to tell you that goodbye doesn't mean forget. Whenever I hear the Moonlight Sonata played on a piano, I think of my mother. Whenever I see a great engineering feat, my father was an engineer, pencil on the pocket engineer, go over a bridge, over a highway, over some great construction, I think of my father. I also think of him fondly as the guy who was a great provider for us and did so many happy things with us during our youth. There was a time when I had to say goodbye to my grandfather. Here I was holding the hand of an 80-year-old man dying of lung cancer in the hospital, and I had the privilege of telling him, "Grandpa, we really love you. You were such a great grandpa. I loved watching ball games with you. I loved going to the park with you. I loved it when you brought us toys." Grandpa had a secret. He worked in a toy store. He was a great grandpa. We weren't sure if the cigar smoke got him, 20 years of smoking cigars, or if the mustard gas from World War I got him, but we had to eventually say goodbye. Now whenever I pass a playground, I think of Grandpa. Whenever I smell cigar smoke, I think of Grandpa. You can say goodbye with grace and dignity and still remember fondly the people that you say goodbye to. I had to say goodbye to my father twice. After my mother died, he got married a second time to a lovely woman, a bit older, who had raised her son in the 1950s and was not interested in raising two more children with a 1960s sensibility. Before too long, my sister ran away from home before she finished high school, and I was sent to live with relatives. An old German family on the east end of Long Island who emigrated from Germany between World War I and World War II and started a marina and fishing station in the South Shore of Long Island. They had a big house. When I knocked on the door and said, "My name is Billy. My father sent me to live with you," they hadn't heard. My father hadn't told them. They still welcomed me into their home. They still saved my life, and I learned that they had spent their lives saying goodbye to others. Their big house was like a nursing home for no fewer than 10 of the elderly relatives on my father's side of the family over the many years. My grandmother, whom I visited many years before in that same house, passed away in that house. She didn't have to go to a nursing home. They gave her the dignity of their care and love. And the same thing with my Uncle Heine, my Aunt Zina, and my Tante Erna, who was still alive at the time, 86 years old, eating Liederkranz cheese and raw hamburger with a picture of Kaiser Wilhelm on her wall. Kaiser Wilhelm was her boyfriend. This is a family of misfits. Old Mama Lawson, Greta, was a hunched-over woman held together by surgical wire from her many operations and the schnapps that she constantly sipped. And Sonny, Al, her son, was a lovely man, but kind of unhappy being stuck in the family business. If he really thought about it, he would have appreciated that he had a wonderful life as wonderful as Jimmy Stewart's, because he helped so many people, all the relatives that came through the house, and me. During your lifetime, there may be times where you have to say goodbye to somebody that you don't really want to say goodbye to. I'm here to tell you that you can do it with grace and with dignity. Years ago, my father and I reconciled. His second wife died. He came back to visit my sister in Florida and me, and we got together and became a family again. He had the good grace to ask for my forgiveness for the things he had done in the past where he mistreated me. And I had the grace to allow him to forgive me. What a wonderful thing. But even if you lose somebody who you're mad at, and you don't have the chance to forgive them in person, forgive them posthumously. And remember the good things that they gave you in your life. I would encourage you to remember the good times that you had with all those people. Yes, you had to say goodbye. Yes, Grandpa's no longer with us. My mother died of cancer. My father died when he was 93 years old, sitting on the bed next to me in an urn full of ashes. I could think back on how good he was to us and what wonderful times we had. And you should too. Fellow Toastmasters and all those who are listening, say goodbye, but remember, it's now my time to say goodbye.
Thank you for sharing that speech, Bill. It was captivating, and I appreciate you shared so many details from your personal life. Please come join me at the table for a brief interview. Thanks for coming on to Toastmaster Time.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yes, thank you.
So tell our audience at home, how long have you been in Toastmasters?
I joined Toastmasters in 1981.
1981, awesome.
I wasn't sure I was going to stay in the Coast Guard at the time, so I joined Toastmasters in order to expand my social network.
Very cool. And I'm guessing you've done that.
It turns out that I stayed in the Coast Guard for 45 years.
Wow.
And next year I'll be in Toastmasters as long as I was in the Coast Guard.
Wow. Well, thank you for your service in the Coast Guard. So tell us, in your journey through Toastmasters, it's been a long one, what's something you've really enjoyed in your experience?
This might sound odd, but I really enjoyed being in the leadership roles in Toastmasters. You meet so many people. I expanded my social network. I also expanded my professional network. When I was a district director, at the end of the term, I would look back on all the area directors, division directors, the 80 or 100 people who helped out with the various events. And if you look back on an experience like that, you think, I wish I could hire all those people and start a company. You know you've done it well. If you look back and say, man, I'm glad that's over, I'm not going to do that again, then you have not benefited from the experience, don't do it again. I would say, be a leader in Toastmasters. Step up your game, and you'll meet a lot of really good people who do really good things.
Very good advice, and a bit of advice I definitely agree with, so thank you for sharing that. For our audience at home, there may be speakers who are new to Toastmasters or just getting into the process of improving their communication skills. What's one bit of advice or wisdom you would share with beginning speakers out there?
Speak early and often. I would tell people who are new Toastmasters that get on the program as soon as you can, give that icebreaker as soon as you can, and then get on the program again as soon as you can. If you're giving a speech once and then you wait 6 weeks to give your second speech, you don't give yourself a chance to really internalize the feedback that you've gotten and incorporate it into the next speech effectively. So I would encourage you to speak as often as you can, even every week if they let you. Be ready. Be ready to fill in when somebody misses their speech. Be ready to jump in and give your next speech.
I like it. Another Toastmaster said, maximize stage time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And remember, every other role in the club is also a speaking opportunity. Even the grammarian or timer is a speaking opportunity. So do the other roles too and take advantage of your stage time.
I agree. Well, thank you for coming on to the show and sharing your story and your wisdom with us. Hope to have you back at some point.
My pleasure.
All right. All right, Deborah, excited to hear your evaluation of Bill's speech. So over to you.
Thank you, Justin. Bill, your speech was so heartfelt.
You excel at storytelling.
And you made the experience of death a beautiful lesson. Well, you filled it with lessons for all of us, because we will all face death at some point. We have faced loved ones' deaths, most of us. And so it connected. You also connected with the audience because it's a subject that we can all relate to. So it wasn't that you were just telling a story. You were also engaging the audience to think about the times in their life that they will face death, not only for themselves, but for their loved ones, and how they can look at it in a more beautiful way. I also loved the wisdom you just shared about your experience at Toastmasters and how it gives you the opportunity to learn how to be a leader, which allows you to excel in other areas of your life also, maybe in your business, in many of your careers, or volunteer opportunities in your community. So I would say that I can't wait to hear more speeches from you, Bill, because they are filled with lessons. Back to you, Justin.
Thank you so much for that evaluation, Deborah. It was very specific and encouraging. So thank you again for being our evaluator here tonight. That's all the time we've got for our show. I want to thank you so much for watching. Toastmaster Time is filmed in the San Francisco Bay Area. For more information, check out toastmastertime.com. Toastmaster Time is sponsored by District 57 Toastmasters. You can learn more about District 57 at d57tm.org. And for general information on Toastmasters, including where you can find a club near you, please check out toastmasters.org. I want to circle back to the quote we shared at the beginning from William Jennings Bryan. He said that the ability to speak effectively is an acquirement rather than a gift. Sabrina, Bill, and Deborah exemplified great communication skills, and it's because they acquired these skills through Toastmasters. Every time you come on stage and give a speech, you acquire skills that will help you to become more compelling, more captivating, and more charismatic as a speaker. So maximize your stage time. I want to thank our wonderful staff and volunteers here at the Mid-Peninsula Media Center, and thank Sabrina and Bill for sharing their stories with us today, and of course, Deborah for evaluating them. From all of us at Toastmaster Time, I want to encourage you to keep speaking, keep learning, keep growing, and just keep on talking. Have a great evening, everybody.
Thank you.